Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Act 3 today on this very, very fine Monday afternoon. The good news is it looks like the smoke is starting to die down and we're starting to get back to some sensibility of normality. At least let's hope that's the way it's going to be. You know, this last couple of years has truly been a real difficult time for so many people in so many communities. But the good news is that there's always something to look forward to. And what I look forward to every single month is my issue of Nanaimo and Voyager magazines. So with me today is the editor-in-chief, Judy Stephan, and we're going to talk today about this magazine and about how she has brought it to our communities to share island-wide. Hey, good looking. How are you, beautiful girl?
Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks very much. Judy, you have such an interesting story as to how you came about owning and operating and the editor-in-chief of Nanaimo and Voyager Magazine. How about you share with our audience a little bit about your history?
Right. So in 2009, we immigrated from South Africa, and part of the immigration, which was at that time called the British Columbia Provincial Nomination Program, we had to buy a company, we had to employ Canadians and invest money, and that expedited your immigration process. And Nanaimo Magazine was the company that I bought. I had no experience in the publishing industry at all. In South Africa, I was an English teacher. I taught English for 23 years. I specialized in literature and film study. And I taught grade 12s and was head of the English department for a long time. But when I came to Canada, I had this fear of going into the classroom because I was worried about teaching English to Canadians with a South African accent. So we looked for something else for me to do to keep me out of mischief. And buying Nanaimo Magazine was the route that we took. I had to learn from scratch everything about business, besides just being in a new country where I had to learn to drive on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road. I had to learn how to run a business from scratch. I didn't even have any business acumen from South Africa. So that was a learning curve, and it took a couple of years before I sort of got the hang of it. And now it's a well-oiled machine. I've had it now for 12 years. And it's just going from strength to strength, pandemic and all.
You know, and that's the surprising part. The pandemic really changed things for so many businesses, but it didn't seem to change yours. And there's something to that. And so I'm curious about why do you think it has maintained its success during such a difficult time?
The problem is the pandemic did affect me. Most of my magazine is obviously paid advertising because the magazine is free. So people pay for space. And in the space of about 30 days from, say, the 5th of March onwards, I lost 8 pages of the magazine just like that. All the events
Wow.
that had booked space suddenly cancelled. There was a lot of businesses that were feeling insecure, and so they didn't want to advertise. So the first month I lost 8 pages. The second month I lost another 8 pages. So from a 48-page magazine, I was functioning at a 32-page level, which isn't a problem. 32 pages is still a substantial magazine, but it did affect my business that way. Yes. However, I decided, instead of like closing and throwing my arms up and, you know, in despair, I decided, well, there's one thing I can do, and that's keep the community connected. And so what I did is I changed my angle from being just a community magazine, you know, about health and wellness, business, entertainment, community, island living, and all those things, to being a magazine that keeps the community connected. So businesses found a way to advertise with me to let people know how they were dealing with the pandemic. They Yes. changed hours. They're you know, changing from being a store where you could go into a store where you had curbside pickup and online, etc. So that's how I coped. And I decided it was easier to just soldier through the pandemic than to close and then try and reopen later. So yes, it did affect me, but I think the strength of changing direction helped me weather that storm. And now we are back to where we should be.
That's fantastic. And it's inspiring to know that you were able to pivot and shift in such a way that allowed the community to remain connected. What do you think you learned the most from that, Judy?
Well, I learned that I was stronger than I thought I was.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, no kidding. You know, because so many people, did lose their businesses during COVID. So many people did have to really adjust in such a way that, many were unable to recover. I was driving downtown the other day and I was surprised to see how many of the stores actually had their doors reopened completely. Now, don't get me wrong, we've been open for quite some time now. But so many of them, I thought, would not be able to recover. And yet it was inspiring to see how many people were able to remain connected in that way. And I think that your magazine had something to do with that, because I know that many of the downtown core have very special pages within the magazine. And I agree with you, that way that they could advertise now is different, right? It's not the same. And people like to stay connected in that way. Is there one organization or company that you felt was, that was deeply affected downtown, that really inspired you moving forward?
Not one company specifically, but I do know that during this time, Kim Smythe from the Chamber, started up a new downtown organization. I think it's just called Downtown Nanaimo, and it is trying to establish the downtown again, because the downtown took a little bit of a hit a while ago when the last Downtown Nanaimo Business Improvement Association closed. And then there was Tent City, and there was a whole lot of things going on. And now there's a resurgence of business, and it's refreshing to go down. I was downtown on Friday, and I couldn't believe how many people were shopping on a Friday morning. It was spectacular.
Yes, that's what I found as well. I was absolutely delighted to see so many people wandering downtown. And I think that, we have to come together as a community overall. You have been recognized many times in our community, especially in the last few years, for the success of your magazine. But I think it's more than the success of the magazine. I think it's the way that you bridge and you bring people together. Can you tell us a little bit about your community involvement?
Yes, I'm an ardent member of the Chamber of Commerce. I firmly believe in it as a business organization and helps small businesses. I'm the chair of the ambassador program. I'm on the Old City Quarter Association. I'm part of the Nanaimo Senior Services Network. Yeah. I have been on the Chamber board as well as many other organizations over the past 12 years. I enjoy giving back to the community that has accepted me as an immigrant and enabled me to function as a business owner in Nanaimo. So it's nice to give back by volunteering on these boards. At the moment, I'm also teaching English to immigrant, I think females mainly, from the Central Vancouver Island Multicultural Society.
Yes, I heard that you were taking that on. How have you enjoyed that?
Oh, it's lovely. I just finished 6 months with a Colombian lady who has now gone out and found herself a job because she's able to communicate properly. And I was sad to see her go because I became her friend, but I'm now waiting for the next person to be assigned to me.
Fantastic. And giving back is so important because it really does. We always receive more than we give to a certain extent, either through friendship or, I love volunteering. I have a great passion for working with community for sure. You've also been recognized in the community award wise, and most recently, I think that you won the Chamber Award for
creative services.
Say it again. I'm so sorry, darling.
It's creative services.
Yes.
And my graphic designer, Rachel Toolboys, has got a lot to do with that, right? She's the creative genius in my company.
Well, you do, have a great creative side of your very own. It's absolutely marvelous. And you're expanding again, right? You're doing more things within community. I understand you have a brand new website. Let's talk about that.
Yes, so the website that I had for 12 years, I inherited with the magazine when I bought it. So it was, although it was a nice website to go to, you could read the magazine online and you could order advertising if you wanted to and read testimonials and find out about who's in the company, etc. It just was a little bit dated. And I have a fantastic guy called Jamie Penner from V3 Media, who redesigned my website for me. So it's now very current and colorful and interactive. It's got 2 brand new pages. So yes, it still does exactly what the other website did. It tells you about the magazine and you can read the magazine online and go and look at a past issue if you want, testimonials, advertising rates, who works with the company, etc. But it's got 2 new pages. It's got a free local events page, which I'm very proud of. I want to become an events hub in Nanaimo. Because we are a community magazine, we might as well embrace everything about it.
Absolutely.
So we've got an events hub, so you can go in and enter your event or a class or a course that you're holding, or a market that you might be running, or an expo, or an online business meeting, or whatever. Anything that you would like to promote that is and falls under the category of events can be entered in there, and it's free. It's something that I want to promote as a free service for anybody that would like to use it. I'm still building it up now. It needs to be promoted more so that people know that that's where they can go and look. But there's a lot of events there right until mid-December. So it's working quite well at the moment. The second page on my new website is called Love Where You Live. Now, as a person that's chosen Canada from the other side of the globe, it was very important for me to recognize why I chose it. And I chose it because it is a wonderful place to live. I mean, every country's got its problems, but when you move from a country that has quite severe problems and you come to a country like Canada, which is exquisitely beautiful and a really beautiful place to live, I felt that I wanted to appreciate that. So what we've done is we've collected some past articles that sort of embraced love where you live. And we've got some articles written by myself and other people that have also embraced love where you live. And every month we put a couple of new articles on, and it's just a resource of positive articles. In fact, the article that you wrote about the Gabriola artists will be on there in September, because that's, again, love where you live, right?
Absolutely.
So what I do is from every magazine that goes out, I choose 1 or 2 articles that I think embrace that theme, and those go into that website. So you can go into that website and just read some positive stuff instead of anything about COVID or anything about Afghanistan or politics or whatever. It's just positive stuff.
And we need that now. Full disclosure to our audience, just so you know, I've been with Judy writing for the magazine for a number of years now. I think 8 or 9 years now I've been with you. I started off writing an article about home improvement, I think back in June of 2012, I think 2012 or 2013. And so I've had the privilege of writing for the magazine for a number of years and supporting Judy, and Judy supports me so well. Thank you for everything you do. So full disclosure, I am curious, for those of you, by the way, who have just tuned in, thank you for tuning in today. We're really, really glad you're here on CHLY 101.7 FM. I'm Kathy Holmes. I'm your host of Act 3. We're really glad that our guest today is Judy Stephan. Judy as the editor-in-chief and owner of Nanaimo and Voyager Magazine. And today we're talking about our community and how marvelous it is. Now, in all fairness, many of our listeners live way down in Duncan or way further up island or even over on the Sunshine Coast. just so you know, the magazine is Vancouver Island wide. You can pick it up from Duncan, I think Victoria even. Can you pick it up in Victoria?
You can pick it up in Victoria, yeah.
All the way to the top of the island, you can get the magazine, and you can certainly listen to it, or pardon me, read it online. And in a few minutes, this is a great segue for you to go get a piece of paper and a pen so that we can get you to write down Judy's information and her website. So if you have an event or an idea, or you just want to read it, you can do so. So we'll do that in a few minutes. Judy, I'm curious for our listeners. I know the answer, but I think it's important that our listeners know this is one magazine with two covers. How come?
So because I bought it with the names that it has now, which is Nanaimo Magazine and Voyager Magazine. It would be easier to have one name, but unfortunately Nanaimo Magazine has become a little bit of an institution, and it would be silly for me to change its name. However, it can't be Nanaimo Magazine when it goes to Parksville or Courtenay, Duncan, Ladysmith, Cowichan Valley, Victoria, Qualicum Beach, all those places. It cannot be Nanaimo Magazine. It just would be silly. So it's called Voyager when it's outside the Nanaimo boundary. And that makes a lot of sense. It's on the ferries, it's at the airports as the Voyager, and that's the traveling magazine.
The distributorship is very phenomenal as well. The numbers are, I think, around 30,000 all inclusive between Vancouver Island and the online presence. And honestly, what I love about the magazine, why I've continued to write for the magazine, is that it is very local in spirit. When you read it, it's only uplifting conversations. There's nothing about it that's negative, and we don't dive into any politics or anything like that. Why did you choose to go that route, Judy?
Well, I'm not a newspaper, and I'm also a monthly magazine. So if something happens and there's a problem, maybe crime or homelessness or something like that, those things change very rapidly. Yes. So if I was to start having a political commentary on any of those issues, and then the magazine goes out on the 1st of the month, and that information is changed by the 5th, then it's in there for the whole month as incorrect information. So I don't delve into politics. I try not to put anything in that could possibly change over the month. That's and also I have a positive outlook on life, and I don't want it to be a magazine that brings negativity to anything. It's supposed to be something you can pick up in a waiting room, or pick up in a coffee shop, or get in your mailbox at home, and just be able to sit down and read, and then put it down and pick it up later and read something else. And it's nothing negative or heavy. It's all positive people, positive businesses, positive stories about our island.
I agree. And I'm glad that you've chosen to go that way, because I think there's so much in the world right now that is unfortunately negative. We can easily get that when we turn on the news. Isn't it great that you can pick up something else and feel the light at the end of the day? It's not sugar-coated or anything like that. They're really interesting stories about so many different places as well. You have one section in the magazine that usually is a different author each time, and it's the travel component, right?
Yeah, that we haven't had that for a year.
Oh, sorry.
Because of COVID and nobody's traveling. But I do have a section, and I hope to bring it back as soon as travel's up and running like it was before, called Letters from Around the World. And I've got people all over the world, or people that travel, who want to submit articles about where they've been and where you can go.
Makes me laugh that it's not been there for a year. You'd think I haven't read the magazine, but I do. And for whatever reason, I didn't realize it had been that long. Time is going. I knew we hadn't had it for a few issues, but a year, my goodness. Yeah. It's changed. Things have definitely changed out there. And so, but people are going to start traveling again. There's all kinds of new things that are happening that'll make things a little bit easier for people to remain healthy while moving around the world. What's your favorite part of the magazine?
Well, there's many parts that I love because I do it every month. My favorite part is the jokes. I have great fun every month trying to find jokes. When I started this and I brought in the section Lines to Make You Smile, I had a lot of negative letters coming into the office, about, oh, your jokes are really bad. But I've changed it from being like a joke page to being lines to make you smile. And I get them from a variety of places. I actually have a friend on Facebook that used to be at the boys' equivalent school of my convent that I went to as a child, who has a hysterical jokes on his Facebook page, and I just copied them from there.
It's great to pinch, hey?
I also like writing Just Judy, because that's my take on life, and
yeah.
some of the people that I visit every month joke with me that it's a bit of fluff that I'm writing, but it's how I'm feeling on that day that I write it. It's something that I've experienced or something that I want to talk about. And so I enjoy writing that part of the magazine too. And of course, my celebrity of the month, I love that. I choose somebody every month on their, maybe they've won an award, or maybe they've just got a new position of leadership, or maybe they've done something extravagant. I interviewed Funkamentary a couple of months ago. Diane Brennan was, she just won Freedom of the City, I think it's called. Jackie Casey's just won a big award, so she's going to be my celebrity in October. And so it carries on. There's always somebody that's achieved something, and then I just pounce on them and interview them.
It's very exciting to see people successful in our community. I saw Jackie had won that award. Jackie is with
Spotlight Academy.
Spotlight Academy. She's also an agent, isn't that right? I think she's an agent on Vancouver Island. I think she did some casting for, I can't say the right word, so forgive me, audience. I think it's Chesapeake Shores.
Chesapeake Shores. That's
Chesapeake
right.
Shores, which is 5 years now. I think it's been taping in Ladysmith, which is really quite exciting. Our film industry here is very scattered. We don't have a lot of the film industry here compared to Vancouver, but it's terrific to know that we have some, and Chesapeake Shores is a great show. So I am curious about some of the other things that are happening for you. And, one of the things that I'm really excited about is that you are finally a Canadian. And I know it's been a couple of years now since you took your Canadian citizenship, but there's a lot of people now that are talking about being a Canadian. It's becoming a very popular thing to be proudful, in a kind way, not boastful, but proudful of being Canadian, because we have really, during some very difficult times in the world, we've really stepped up. Why did you decide to become a Canadian?
I made a decision a long time ago when we decided to immigrate that I was leaving behind something and I was going towards something. And I wanted to be part of this society. I started volunteering. I joined Rotary, I think 5 months after I arrived in Canada. I was with the Chamber 3 months after I arrived. There was becoming part of the community so rapidly and so quickly. I didn't want not to be a Canadian. It was very important for me to become Canadian. And the day that I had my citizenship, which was I think the 14th of June 2015, was a spectacular day. It would go down as one of the best days of my life. It was a lovely, lovely ceremony. I had a nice big party at the house afterwards, everything red and white. I celebrate Canada Day every year.
Every year, yes.
It's just my day. That's what we do. So I'm very proud to be Canadian, very proud.
It's funny because I brought it up because I thought it was a lot later in time. I can't believe that it was 2015. Really? Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Judy.
It was the first, when you've got a lot of hoops to jump through when you want to become a citizen.
Yeah.
You've got to basically have lived so many days in Canada without leaving, or if you leave, you've got to then, count days past that, and there's a lot of forms you have to fill in. You have to go back in your background to every house you've ever lived in, like that you can remember back to your childhood. There's a lot of things you have to do, and it was background checks and whatever. So the first time that I could actually apply was end of 2014, and it took 6 months for me to get it. So it was the first time that I could actually do it. I did it and got it straight away.
Which is so fantastic, but I'm still truly gobsmacked that it has been since 2015, because I was there, right? I wasn't actually at the event itself. I was at the party after.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wasn't there. I think I was at work or something. But it was, I mean, I have pictures of you going across this. I was there because I have all kinds of pictures of tape that I took of you going across the stage in your beautiful red dress. And, you know, it was, you have such a light. You have such a light, and you bring that light to every single thing that you do. People may remember you from being downtown in the, you know, you're a beautiful blonde bombshell and you wear the highest shoes known to mankind. You're known for your shoes. Are you still wearing those shoes, or have you, with, you know, us?
Well, that's another thing that the pandemic sort of did, you know. I wasn't having meetings in person anymore. Everything was on Zoom. So like I'm sitting talking to you now and I'm barefoot because South Africans walk barefoot in the house, and that's what I do.
I'm with you on that. I wasn't ever South African. I've always been Canadian, and 99.9% of the time I'm barefoot in my house. Absolutely.
But I do wear, if I get dressed up and I have a meeting, I still put high shoes on. I like them.
Do you find that they hurt now, actually, though, when you put them on?
No, but I think I've brought down my inches I think I've brought them down from like 6 inch to 4 inch, maybe.
I have always admired you and your shoes. I mean, without a doubt, for anybody who knows Judy Stephan, you know her for her incredible stance and her shoes and all that really great stuff. So listen, you know, I love that you're on our program. I'm so glad that you're with us today. For those of you who have just tuned into Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM, you are listening to Judy Stephan. She is the editor-in-chief of Nanaimo and Voyager Magazine and an avid community member. I want to change the direction of this conversation just a little bit, because you were talking about some of the volunteering experience that you've had, and some of the things that you do within the community with the Multicultural Center, with volunteer, with the NSSN, with the Chamber of Commerce. I hate to bring COVID in, but I'm just, because it is the community and we are working together to build it. Have you seen a difference in volunteerism over the last few months because of COVID?
I think that if you're a volunteer at heart, you're going to want to always volunteer.
Yeah.
However, I think volunteering's taken a little bit of a knock because of COVID, because people haven't been able to physically go out and do anything. And it's all very well, for example, my chamber ambassador group, that we've still met every single month, even though it's been on Zoom. And you'll notice the numbers dwindle and then they come back up again. And people are so tired of Zoom right now. Yeah. They are Zoom exhausted. I think once things really open up and this whole Delta variant is put to rest, hopefully soon when everybody gets vaccinated, I'm hoping that the whole volunteer experience will come back, that we can actually go out and do physical volunteering. Because it's difficult to sit and volunteer on Zoom in the comfort of your home. You know what I mean? You can't really do much. So I think volunteering did take a knock, but I do think the people that volunteer do it because they want to, and as soon as they can, they'll be back doing it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there has been there's been a change. There's been a pivot again. Pivot being the popular word these days for trying to continue during a very, difficult time and change just the direction. You're quite right. Many people are doing it. What does it mean to be an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce? And can you tell us a little bit of what the Chamber is doing?
So the program that I'm in charge of is called the Ambassador Program. And when somebody joins the Chamber, they get assigned an ambassador. And that person reaches out to them and hopefully meets them for coffee or has a telephone call with them about what the advantages of joining the chamber are. So, for example, we talk about networking, we talk about advocacy, we talk about the special deals you can get on certain things, about the promotion you can get for your company with the certain events and stuff that the chamber puts on. And obviously with COVID, a lot of the networking stuff has fallen by the wayside, and that's going to start up again very soon. But it's an important process. Some people join the chamber and then they don't know what to do next, right? Okay, I've joined the chamber, now what?
Yes.
And so it's just a dedicated group of people. There's about 12 of us, and some of us have been there for a long time, who reach out to new people. In fact, I was downtown on Friday meeting with the guy from Brazilian Delicacies, a food truck, I think he is.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Delicious.
I met with him in person and it was so nice. Last month, I met with somebody in person as well. Really nice. But up until then, it's been really difficult to get hold of people. You know, you email and your email goes out into the void and then you don't hear back. And so it's getting better now again.
I agree with you. I understand exactly what you're saying. It is very true that, you know, and people are bombarded by emails and Zoom calls, and I understand what you mean by the Zoom fatigue. It certainly plays a role in the work that I do in community as well. I love the Chamber of Commerce. When I first came to Nanaimo, I'm not an immigrant, but I'm a transplant from Vancouver. And I came here 11 years ago. And last year, I wanted to celebrate my 10th year of living on Vancouver Island and in Nanaimo. And of course, because of COVID, we shut down. So my 11th year this year, I was sort of, well, you know, maybe I will. And then I'm like, it's still too COVID-y for me to feel. I'm not quite feeling that safety net yet. But the one thing that I knew for sure is that when I arrived to this town, the Chamber of Commerce was the first place that I went. And, you know, I went to business before business for a while, but I found that was just too doggone early for me. And so I went to business after business and I met so many people. And it's so important that people are connected in community. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences when you first came here about the networking side of things and why networking is so important?
Networking is important, especially, it doesn't matter if you're new in the country, new in the town, new in the business world. It's very important to get out there and meet like-minded people. For example, I arrived, I didn't know anybody in the community, nobody, not one person. I didn't have a friend here that, you know, or anything. I had to start from scratch. And so I made a point of going to every single chamber lunch, every single business after business, every single business before business. I joined Rotary. I did a whole lot of volunteer things over the years. I can't even remember them all. I got nominated for the Downtown Nanaimo Business Improvement Association, and I thought, me? Why me? And then I realized it's because I'm going to all these things and people see me all the time. Yeah. And then you can get known. And you know, a lot of business comes from people knowing who you are, and you know, the referrals. You don't have to cold call or anything because people know who you are, and they will contact you if they need you. You know, so it's very important, especially in a town like Nanaimo. It might be different in a bigger city, but I think the small town business world of Nanaimo, even though it's like a city when you look at what we have here. It's important to know people and to meet people all the time, and people are changing jobs all the time, so people move and you can follow them around. And yeah, it's very important. Networking is the number one thing I would think to get your business known, is to network.
Networking has helped with Nanaimo and Voyager Magazine as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Networking, I find when I first moved here as well, and I'm kind of breaking the conversation up a little bit to sort of, you know, talk about the different things that have made you successful in our community. When I first came here, I did have one friend. And the friend, well, I probably had more than that. In my former life, my husband was a 7th Dan international karate champion. And so every single year for about 10 years, we would go to Rathtrevor Beach and train. And so I got to know a few people here, but I didn't really know them well. There was one person that I really was tight with, and a few people that I became close to. And so when it came time for me to decide where am I going to go and what am I going to do after I got divorced, Nanaimo was my first choice because it had always welcomed me so much. But I remember something that my one friend had said to me when I arrived. And she said, you know, Kath, when you get to Nanaimo, she said, you won't be able to just put your shingle on the door and call it a day. It just isn't going to happen that way. This is a who you know town. It's a lunchbox town. And you really have to get to know the players in the city. And I looked at her and I was like, are you crazy? Like, I don't buy that. Like, I'm not going to receive that at all. I know that when I put my shingle on the door, I will be here. I will be settled. I will know everybody in no time flat. My God, was she right? It took a while. What were some of the obstacles that you experienced when you first moved here?
The biggest obstacle that I experienced was learning how to drive. I mean, I've been driving for many, many years. I got my license when I was 16, 17 in South Africa. But to learn how to drive on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road, was terrible for me. I mean, even now, I don't think I've done it for a couple of years, but sometimes you come, out of the mall or whatever, and you get back into your car and you think, oh dear, who stole the steering wheel? Because you've got into the wrong door. And then you're so embarrassed that you just sit there and pretend you're waiting for somebody. It's like, that was the biggest obstacle for me.
That's a huge obstacle.
Once I could drive properly, it was awesome, because then I could just go and do what I had to do. The other thing was being understood. I remember when I first arrived here, I was talking to somebody I think it was at a chamber meeting, and he said to me, God, you've got the worst accent I've ever heard. And ironically, this guy was a Cockney. He had a Cockney accent from Britain, which I don't think is the most attractive
accent. Yeah,
Cockney people out there, most attractive accent in the world. It threw me back a little bit, because I didn't actually know how to respond. And then I became very self-conscious about my accent. I joined Toastmasters, and then they couldn't shut me up. So now, if you don't understand me, just ask me to repeat it. I can't change my accent at this point. Some people like it, some people hate it. I've had some very hysterical scenarios with my accent before. It's just
Can you share some of it with us? I mean, it's always good to understand the motivation behind people and why they do what it is they do. Share with us some of those things.
Oh, I don't know if it's going to be too rude. Okay, so I was at a chamber function, and at one point I was announcing. I used to announce all the new members, and then I used to tell the people that they needed to go and get their food. And we were at the golf club, and the buffet for that summer was out on the patio, and I was just about to say that, but I couldn't think of the word patio. All I could think of was the word deck. But when I say deck, like a South African,
it has a slightly different sound.
It's rude. Okay, so I was halfway through my sentence, and you can go and get your food out on and I couldn't think of the word patio. So I went veranda, which I don't know if anybody knows that word, but anyway.
Yes, of course.
Everybody looked at me blankly, and then I sort of said, I was going to say deck, but I thought you'd all laugh at me. And then, of course, that was what everybody laughed at.
Of course. Oh my goodness. But I understand what you're saying.
There's been a lot of things, going through a drive-through and them not understanding a thing I'm saying, or going to a convenience store and asking for a vitamin water, and they don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, it's something that I just embrace it now. You either love me or you hate me. I can't change the way I speak.
I'm pretty sure that everybody in community loves you. I don't think you have to worry about anything. You're so joyful. You're so easy to be around. Anybody who knows you, you just radiate all the time. And so, it's been my pleasure to know you. And I can't think of anybody in town who just doesn't love you. You're just so,
thank you. I was actually
so warm and so welcoming. Hey, listen, there's another thing that you belong to as well that I wanted to touch base on, and how they are doing just under the circumstances. And by the way, the reason I'm bringing all these things up is I just want people to understand how very connected you are within community. It's and how much there is for all of us to be connected with, right? There is opportunities for everyone in our community to participate. And regardless of whether or not you live in Nanaimo, again, as I mentioned earlier, no matter where you are on Vancouver Island or on the Sunshine Coast, community comes together in such unique ways. And it's important to find out where you are within community and really participate if it's in your power to do so. You belong to the Women's Network in Nanaimo as well. Are they still meeting at this time? Tell us a little bit about that organization.
So the Nanaimo Women's Business Network is a wonderful group of like-minded women. They're all in business. Some of them work for other people, others own their own businesses. Some are home-based businesses. Some are, regular companies. It's a really wonderful group, very supportive of each other. And I've belonged to it for as long as it's been open here. And we obviously had to stop meeting in person with COVID. We've been meeting on Zoom on the first Tuesday of every month. It's a nice 3-hour meeting. You have your drink and they have a guest speaker, lucky draws. And it's a really, really wonderful group. There's a lot of fantastic women that I hadn't known before who are now really good friends. So if you're a woman in business and you're needing some support and you're needing to meet with people on a social and business level, this is the group for you. And hopefully in a couple of months, we'll be meeting in person again.
Yeah. I think it's very important for people to recognize how many networking opportunities that there are here. The women's group, I don't belong personally to the women's group, but I know of it, and it's a phenomenal, well-received group within our community. Frankly, there are so many things to belong to. My time just doesn't allow me to be involved in every single thing. It's really hard to do that. But I am involved in the Nanaimo Senior Services Network, as you are. I wonder if you could share a little bit about age-friendly business with our community.
Right. So this was something that I was very, very enthusiastic about a year and a half ago. It took a while to get off the ground. And then just as we started to get off the ground and got all our stuff printed and everything, COVID hit. And my sort of reason for wanting to do this was that I go out and visit businesses anyway. So it would be really easy for me to just combine the two and be able to do it. But I stopped going to businesses. I stopped cold calling on people and going to visit people. Everything was done by email. So I had to put that on ice for COVID. I've started it up again slowly. I've got a couple of appointments lined up. So an age-friendly business, and if you're listening to this broadcast and you are a business that might want to consider this, please contact us. An age-friendly business is a business that is exactly what it says, friendly for seniors. Basically, that's what it boils down to. And things that they will be looking for is there a handicap parking? Are the doors wide enough for somebody to go through with a wheelchair or a walker, or even a mother with a stroller, right? Are the aisles wide enough for the same? Is the lighting good in your store so that, if somebody can't see properly, that they can actually read something? Yeah. Do you have an option for larger print for people, like on a menu or something in your restaurant? Are your staff members talking to seniors, with respect, and so on? There's a whole lot of criteria to be met. And if you meet those criteria, and most of the businesses do, because they want to attract people like that to their business, then you can contact us and we can give you the accreditation of being an age-friendly business. It is free. You do not have to pay anything for it. It's just recognition. You will be directed to a website where all the business will be listed. Maybe your logo will be up there, and hopefully it will become a place where seniors go to see where they can go to shop and be accepted and treated well. That's basically what it boils down to. And did I say everything I needed to say there?
I think that you did. I think you covered it absolutely perfectly, as you always do. Age-friendly business is really, it came out of the birth for age-friendly seniors for sure, but it helps everybody in community. And so, I think that we really need to recognize that there's a large community population that are people with disability and challenged. And it's important that they have that ability to come into stores as well and be comfortable while they're in there. Sometimes stores don't remember to have their aisles wide enough, and people, with COVID and everything, everybody is so cramped, and people are going to avoid those stores. So knowing that there's an age-friendly business that's available, it really does make a difference. And we're very pleased with the Nanaimo Senior Services Network to be able to bring that to community. And thank you, Judy, for supporting us in that way and bringing those businesses to light. You can find information on age-friendly business as well at nssn.ca. I did tell everybody, by the way, at halfway through the show, I reminded you to go get a piece of paper and a pen, and now's a great time to start sharing some of that information. Judy, how do people find your brand new website for Nanaimo and Voyager Magazine?
It's nanaimomagazine.ca.
Jeepers, that's easy. nanaimomagazine.ca. And speaking of age-friendly, I'm bringing this up for a reason. Do you know, the magazine is popular everywhere, but there was a time that my role had me go into people's homes every single day. Either to help them with getting supports for older adults, or to share information with them regarding older adult issues. And on almost every coffee table, Nanaimo and Voyager Magazine sat. So I just want you to know that from not only do we see it everywhere in all the major places, as you said, at the ferries and all these places, people read the magazine because it's just so good. There's so much joy and so much, it's just so good and a privilege to be a part of it. I'm glad that I get to write with you. I only write a couple of articles, one article regularly, but I love the magazine so much. It's really bringing our community together, which is the intent. So www.nanaimomagazine.ca. Can people reach you by telephone or by
They can. My telephone number is 250-585-2767. And the best way to get hold of me is Nanaimo Magazine at shaw.ca.
Yeah. And so they can get advertising, they can submit for events and things that are happening. They can get a price list from you as far as the advertising. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I do want you to know that advertising for this magazine is really affordable. We won't go into it on the air, but certainly reach out to Judy for the information on that. It's more affordable than you could imagine. And for the amount of people that you will see. So little bit of a pitch out there for you.
Thank you.
We're coming towards the end of the show. We're not at the end of the show yet. We have a few minutes left, but we're coming towards the end of the show. And as we, do that, my favorite part of the book course is being able to share life lessons and wisdom that go with all the things that we do. And today we've covered a number of different things. We've covered volunteering. We've covered, becoming involved in community through networking. Obviously, we've covered the magazine and various organizations that you belong to. If you could imbibe on our community what you see to be, the most important thing to do while you're here, or the life lesson, the takeaway moment, what might that look like for you, Judy?
I think for me, it's to always approach everything that you do with a positive attitude and a smile on your face.
Yeah.
It's amazing, the power of a smile. You walk through a shopping center. I know with masks now, you can't really smile, but you can still smile with your eyes. If you see somebody smile, a smile can brighten somebody's day. I try, even if I'm afraid of something or something new or whatever, something that I don't really want to do, but I'm going to do anyway. If I walk in there with a positive attitude, it changes the whole atmosphere of what you're doing.
And what is your favorite thing to smile at? Okay, I won't go down that road.
I don't know. It depends.
No, I was just joking. I smile at everything. I think you're right. People really understand the benefit of that warmth and the kindness, and we need that right now, probably more than ever. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today, Judy. I'm so glad that you've been a part of the program today. I do want to take a few more minutes just as we close off the program, again, to remind people about your magazine as far as how they can reach you. So if you don't mind, can you please shout out your information one more time for those people who weren't quite ready?
So if you would like to visit our new website, it's nanaimomagazine.ca. I can be reached at nanaimomagazine@shaw.ca. And my telephone number is 250-585-2767.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, my dear. Ladies and gents, that does it for another episode of Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. I just want to remind you of a couple of things. Number one, if you haven't had your shots yet, we'd sure love it if you'd go and have your shot. Let's protect our community wherever we can. If you choose not to have your shot, please make sure that you mask up, wear gloves, do all the things that you can do to make our community safe. Those numbers, unfortunately, seem to be running up high, and that's just not where we want to be. Let's put them back down again, and let's take care of each other. So that's the first thing. For all the firefighters out there that have been looking after us all over Vancouver Island, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot ask any more from you. You've done so much for us all to keep us all safe. We honor you and we thank you for your service in helping us stay safe in community. And the last thing that I'd like to share with you is the next episode of Act 3 on Shaw Television is just about ready. It'll be out pretty darn soon. At least we hope so. Anyway, takes a bit of time to edit all of that stuff. But in the meantime, make sure you tune in to Shaw on Cable 4 and on Cable 150 down Island and over on the Sunshine Coast and watch Act 3 there. If you're watching this program on YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing and for sharing. We sure appreciate you doing that. It helps us bring you the content that you would like to see. And we're very, very glad that you're a part of the Act 3 family. Once again, thanks for tuning in to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. We'll see you next week. Have yourself a marvelous day. Bye for now.